Hey folks, welcome back. I know it's been a little bit since I've made a video. Life has been pretty hectic over the last month or so. But I'm back in the basement, and I thought I would do the yearly layout tour. I try to do these about once a year and around this time of year to kind of just show you what has changed from last year to this. Now there's nothing new added to the layout since the last layout update video that was put out about a month and a half ago now. This is just a tour showing the whole layout. Okay, so if you'd like, you can go back and watch the videos from last year and the year before to kind of see what kind of progress has been made over the year. So a lot of 2023 and then the beginning of 2024 has been quite a hectic time, if you will, with health concerns and deaths in the family and a lot of stuff going on with work and you name it. So any kind of progress on the layout over the last year is pretty remarkable, I would say. But we're going to start right here. And we're going to travel around the layout in a geographical direction from south to north. This part of the layout represents the southernmost part of the layout, which is Dearborn, Michigan, and just to the south of Dearborn, Michigan. So this is the Norfolk Southern shops that are actually located in Melvindale, Michigan. The neighborhood next to it represents the real neighborhood next to the engine facility. I don't know if a whole lot has changed in here over the last year, other than the addition of some trees and foliage. And of course this highway overpass that I made, I believe in January or February of last year. The highway overpass kind of separates the scenes right here. So the Dearborn area is on this side of the highway bridge, and on the other side is Bay City, Michigan. And in reality, they're over 100 or so miles apart, so the bridge separates the two scenically. But it, in both cases, represents I-75. When it goes past Dearborn, which is down around Detroit, Michigan, I-75 would be to the east of this scene. And when in Bay City, I-75 would be to the west of that scene. But we'll come back to Bay City later. Let's start going this way. The reason I started in Dearborn, Michigan was because of one locomotive, which is located in here. And this is a cutout of the Henry Ford Museum, and inside is number 1601, Allegheny steam locomotive. I was a child when I saw this locomotive in person. I don't really remember it. I'd like to get down there again and see it again. I'm sorry, this corner is a little dark. I hope you can see in there. I think that's a little blurry, but yeah, that's why I've started here, so that I can realistically have a large articulated locomotive on my layout. So we're going to head north. This is just a generic cemetery that you might find, well, anywhere really. Travel north, and there's a Menards back there. I did a review of that back in the fall. So the railroad we're following down here would be that of the Norfolk Southern. There's some CSX, Canadian National, Amtrak. If you go back to the 90s, there was Conrail. Canadian Pacific uses it a little bit. Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton was around. Grand Trunk. Quite a few of railroads. In fact, in the distance there, you'll see an Amtrak train heading our way. Short Amtrak train being pulled by a Grand Trunk locomotive because I don't yet have an Amtrak locomotive. Hopefully something I'll be acquiring soon, but we'll see. The next scene here represents that of the truck assembly plant in Flint, Michigan. So this would be the Canadian National line. And then down here on the end is Durand, Michigan, where a bunch of railroads came together. Great Lakes Central, Canadian National, Amtrak. The station here is, even today, an active Amtrak station. Here comes the train right now. Of course, here on the corner is a model that I've scratch built of my house, the house that we are in. It is a sound unit. I do have the sound off right now. And right here is Command Central, the brains that run the layout. From Durand, we're going to head north some more towards Owosso, Michigan. So we're going to go through some farm country. In particular, the Steam Railroading Institute. The red building back there is an engine facility for the Great Lakes Central Railroad. And the Berkshire sitting here is number 1225, Pere Marquette, which of course is made famous by the book and movie Polar Express. And some of the excursion cars are parked on the sidings for now. I'm going to step back for this shot so we can kind of see an overview of what's happened. A lot of this wheat field I know wasn't there a year ago. A lot of new trees and such. Keep swinging around. This area represents Saginaw County, where the tracks will split. If you head this way, which is west, we're going to head towards Dow Chemical in Midland, Michigan, which is represented right down here on the end. There's a large rail yard outside of the plant, and there's a large rail yard in Saginaw, Michigan, the Genesee yard, which is also represented by this yard here. And if we go back this way and head east or northeast, that will take us up towards Bay City, which is on the other side of that overpass. And even from this angle, that represents I-75. And now we're in Bay City. So we were just standing over there. Now we've come over here. So from Bay City here, where there's a lot of central Michigan, Huron and Eastern. There's one of those really nice Huron and Eastern locomotives. A little bit of Lake State chilling here. See a lot of Rail America, or did see a lot of Rail America around this area throughout mid-Michigan. And from here we're going to head north towards Alpena. So this is just a representation of the Winona yard and shops that are just to the north of Bay City. The city itself is not modeled. So a lot of it, we just get into some farm country here. I'm going kind of slow, so in hopes I can overlay some images of the layout 1 year ago so we can see the differences between then and now. Going through the farm, continuing our trip north. U.S. Gypsum facility just south of Tawas, Michigan. And then here is Tawas, a representation. Remember, all of this is a representation. Yeah, it follows a prototype, but it's not strict because of space constraints and whatnot. I can only include what I can include. But I think I've captured the image overall of all the various places I've modeled. Roughly how Tawas would have looked in the late 90s when they were transitioning out the Detroit and Mackinac buildings and structures and getting ready for the Lake State to actually sell off the land to Walmart. And today a Walmart stands in its place. I went with modeling the railroad because this is a model railroad. Nice campground here as we continue north into some national forest. Huron National Forest. Everyone keeps swinging around here. See some brightly lit Menards buildings as we enter into Alpena, Michigan. I know this pier is another thing I worked on earlier last year. I added all this railing to it. I believe the lighthouse is new. Like I said, it was a kind of a rough year last year and early this year, so I don't quite remember everything that I've added. So I'll be interested to look through the old video as well to see what's changed. Now there's prototypically no Amtrak going through Alpena, but I'm just running this train on the main loop that goes all the way around the layout, so he gets a pass for right now. This is the Lafarge Cement North America plant, supposedly the largest one in North America. Michigan, of course, is surrounded by the Great Lakes, so without a doubt you should see some of the big Great Lakes freighters that are out there. I'm a freighter enthusiast as well, so I definitely have a couple here on the layout. Here's one. This is a cement carrier named the Alpena, still under construction, but we can definitely tell what it represents. As I continue to slowly walk around. Now, I have received a handful of comments regarding the backdrops on my layout. And the reason why they're just plain blue sections of foam, if you will, or even sections of plywood in a couple places, is because, well, they're just not finished. It's for a future project. For now, I just wanted to focus on the layout itself. But in the future, yes, I'm going to be adding some sort of photographic backdrop over these existing foam panels. If I go by this one, you'll see it's just a thin foam panel. Painted blue to give the representation of a blue sky. For now, that works fine. So we're going to jump about 150 miles to the north from Alpena to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. So the layout's kind of divided into two halves. This was the lower part of Michigan. Then we get into the upper peninsula where we cross the border from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan into Canada. This is the International Highway Bridge, which again is I-75. This is its terminus. And the Canadian National Railroad that crosses the border as well. Also here we have the famous Soo Locks, which lower the shipping traffic from the Lake Superior level down about 21 feet to the Lake Huron level. So I've modeled a couple of the locks here, a place I've loved going to my whole life. I've taken my family and kids there a few times. We're going to cross the border here. So you got the lift bridge, the double bascule bridge, the train crossing, some Warren truss bridges, swing bridge, nice little island with a bunch of walking trails in the middle, channel that goes to the Canadian lock. Now we're in Sault Ste. Marie, Canada, where we're going to go by the giant Algoma steel mill. Starts from here and it goes all the way down to the end of the layout here. And here again is another freighter that I've scratch built. This is a representation of a 1,000 footer. I used the Paul R. Tregurtha as my reference for building this. It's mostly made out of pine and styrene, and in the back is the steel mill. And much of this I actually built at the beginning part of last year. And again, the plain backdrops, which in the future I will add something more to them. And that comes down here to where I ended a bit ago, because right on the other side we'd be back in Alpena. And of course opposite to that is layout B, which in a way is a continuation of the Sault Ste. Marie area. This building here represents the old St. Mary's paper, which would have been located just down the tracks from Algoma Steel. Small yard here. This is just my older layout, DC powered. Well, the primary layout here, or layout A, is powered by DCC. And we'll just walk around. This layout, I have plans to extend it that way by about 5 feet, or 2 more modules. Both of these layouts are built using modules so that I can move it around, like out of this house into others. And I have actually tested that theory and it works. go back and see some of my older videos, some of my earliest videos, and you'll see some of that happening. Well, there it is. A rough, crude tour of the layout for 2024. So again, I told you some future projects I'd like to take over or take on is the backdrop, expansion of layout B, which is still, or excuse me, not still, but right here. I also would like to add a segment of Huckleberry Railroad. It's a narrow gauge line north of Flint, Michigan. And I'd like to put in a quarter scale or quarter size miniature railroad that used to be in Fairview, Michigan. And I'll show you more about those in the future when I actually intend on starting those projects. But until now, there it is. There's the Great Lakes Eastern. Hope you enjoyed. I might have missed some things, and I'm sorry if I did. I'm just kind of filming this off the cuff. Hopefully I'll come back with videos on a more regular basis. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care.